Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Monday, and also another welcome from the cat Isadora, who appears to be with us temporarily, so we'll see how long that lasts. But this is Norse Studies, and today we are talking about Frigga's Handmaidens. As most of us are aware, the goddess Frigga, who is queen of Asgard, is attested as to having handmaidens in the lore. Usually about 12 are listed, although there does seem to be some debate on that score. But today, for the purposes of our video, we're going to discuss the 12. Very little is known of each of these goddesses, and one of the popular theories is that each handmaiden is merely an aspect of Frigga, with symbolic key on her keyring when dealing with a certain area of life. Personally, this is not a view that I subscribe to. The longer time goes on, the more this impulse to conflate deities or to regard them as being aspects of a greater whole, that more so indicates, at least to me, that the person's mind is still heavily influenced by monotheistic thinking, and that they have a pretty desperate need to simplify the more complicated landscape to polytheism and saying, oh, well, all these goddesses are actually just one. That's one way of making things simpler. And another thing to consider is that just because the surviving lore doesn't go into great detail about Frigga's handmaidens, it doesn't mean that more wasn't known about them in the pre-Christian era. We have absolutely no idea how much information was lost during the conversion. And it makes sense that Frigga would have individual attendants, as befitting her station and as a matter of sheer practicality. It's also logical that the individual goddesses would be assigned tasks that correspond with their own personal talents. That's just a good hiring practice. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about the handmaidens themselves. The first is Fulla. Her name means abundance, and Snorri describes her as being virginal with long flowing hair that's kept tidy by a golden band or a little circlet. She is said to be the sister of Frigga and has the responsibility of caring for the casket or the trunk that holds Frigga's jewels and her shuls, all of which probably have various magical properties, so it's a very responsible position. The trunk may also symbolize female mysteries, hiding away that which is most private. The next handmaiden is Na. This handmaiden is a messenger who's in Frigga's service. She rides a horse that is called Hofvapnir, meaning hoof flourisher, and this particular horse is able to travel to the various realms that Na needs to go to so she can convey Frigga's words to people. Then we have Lofin. She is the confirmed romantic of Frigga's handmaidens, and she is known to bless matches, including those which would otherwise be forbidden. Often helps such couples find a way to come together, start their lives. She's not necessarily going to influence everyone who disapproves to suddenly approve, but she can, help the couple find circumstances that will be tolerable for them. Then we have Sin. Her name means denial, and she guards the door of Frigga's hall that is called Finislir, ensuring that no one comes into the hall who isn't meant to come in, and she aids those who struggle with enforcing proper boundaries. Next, we have Var, the keeper of oaths, and she provides help for people who are seeking to uphold their promises, and she's been known to strengthen people's willpower and their value for personal integrity. Then we have Snotra. She is the Miss Manners of Asgard, and she's considered a goddess of courtesy and consideration. And whether we're talking about Asgard or here on Earth, whenever people gather together as a group, especially in large numbers, there is an increased need for people to be polite to one another, to exhibit respectful behavior. And Snotra has loads of experience with helping that along. She is known to help those who are seeking to learn etiquette, as well as those who are trying to navigate customs that are unfamiliar to themselves. Then we have Gefjon, a giantess who was later recognized as a goddess. She is a protector of unmarried women, and she can even take them into her hall if they die unmarried. She's also linked with plows and agriculture. Next up is Saga, the goddess of history and storytelling, the librarian or the chronicler of Asgard. Her hall is called Sokkvebek, meaning sunk bench, and evidently Odin enjoys visiting her, and he likes to drink ale there while they swap stories. Next, we have Sovolfin. Her name means affection, and she holds sway over all forms of affection, not just romantic affection. She's called a frith maker because of her skill to make peace and to strengthen the emotional bonds between people. Then we have Helen. Opinions seem to vary about her. Some consider her to be a goddess of protection, others as a goddess who provides comfort to those who are mourning. The meaning of her name is help or refuge, which really gives credibility to both interpretations of this goddess. Helen protects those who Frigga desires to keep safe from harm. Then we have Vor. She is a seeress and the patron of diviners. She is helpful when intuition requires a little bit of a boost or if you're needing clarification. And then we have Air. Her name means healer, and that is her role on Asgard. And this is any form of healing, whether it's superficial or severe, mental or physical. Now, taken together, it's clear that the goddess Frigga has a staff that operates like a well-oiled machine. It also illustrates the prudence of delegating responsibility when the circumstances call for it, and the value of people who carry out their duties consistently. And like everyone else, I wish we knew more about Frigga's handmaidens, and frankly, I wish we had more lore to draw upon. But I don't think it's reasonable to allow that loss of information to prevent us from working with these goddesses in the present day. And if anything, we at least know we can approach them in their official capacities. And if the goddesses, through those interactions, show more of their personalities, that just means we need to take notes. And then when we come up with, when we encounter other practitioners who've also reached out to these goddesses, just compare those notes, see if there's any common threads, because if there are, then that might indicate that we have some solid ground to work on. And then we can pass that information down along to the next generation of pagans. But that has to start with giving these goddesses their due attention and respect. And even if we never personally receive any additional hints about who they are, what they're like, and what else they do, we will never get a clearer view of how all the puzzle pieces come together unless we at least reach out. We just have to get the ball rolling. So that's the conclusion I've come to with Frigga's handmaidens. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the story of Freya's necklace. So I hope you'll be back for that. In the meantime, share any of your experiences that you have with Frigga's handmaidens in the comment section below. I think that would be very interesting to discuss and just hear about what that process was like. Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? How did you know? All of those things, because kind of wading into that murky area of personal gnosis, that is when everything starts taking on a much more real and a much more personal aspect of our spirituality. So I would like to hear about other people's experiences because I'm hoping to have a few experiences of my own with these goddesses. But that will do it for now. If you would care to continue this conversation, please come see us on Gilded. Our server is called Blackbird's Brew, and there's a link in the description box to join us, and you would be very welcome. But that will do it for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.